5, 4, 3, 2. Realtors, you're in the right spot.
We're going to do this together.
Welcome to the Leading Edge Podcast.
These mentors showed me a map of success.
This is the place for real estate pros like you to get better at running your business, balancing your life, and having happy clients.
Do you know how powerful you are?
And now your host, Eric Thompson.
What's up, everyone? This is the Leading Edge Podcast. It's your good friend, Eric Thompson, on episode number 81. This one is called Impostor Syndrome. You guys, I hope you are doing amazing and awesome and fantastic. I am doing amazing and awesome and fantastic, having so much fun here in the year 2022. I'm doing a whole lot of things that I like to do. So that is great, and I hope the same is true for you. You guys, the reason why I'm making this podcast called Impostor Syndrome, a couple reasons. First, I was having a conversation with a woman who is doing some work for me now in my coaching company. And she brought this up and we were talking about it. And she said to me, "Hey, Eric, you should do a podcast about imposter syndrome. Sounds like that's kind of a thing for your realtor friends." And I said, "Yeah, I think it's kind of a thing." So that's one reason why I'm doing this episode. And the other reason why I'm doing this episode is because this is January when I'm recording this. And so here we are at the beginning of the year. You got your new goals, your clean slate, your fresh start, your new inspiration, and you're getting after it and you're going for it. And so one thing that might creep in is something like, oh my gosh, who am I to achieve this goal? Like, wait, what am I thinking? Am I really the person that can go out and do this? Am I the person that can go earn that level of income, help that number of clients, have that many listings, have that number of buyers, et cetera, et cetera? Am I the person that can really do that? And doubt can creep in. And so let's talk about this thing called imposter syndrome. So what I'm going to do is we have this little chat. I'm going to tell you one thing to be super cautious of. It's kind of a cautionary warning, right? I want you to be wary of something. And then we'll get into the remedy for this thing called imposter syndrome. Okay, so if we go to the Googles and search for imposter syndrome, of course, what you're going to find early in the search results is the Wikipedia definition. My friends, I love Wikipedia. It's a pretty cool thing. It's a pretty great way to research different topics and different things. So if you go look at imposter syndrome in the Wikipedias, this is what you're going to find. So it says imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Okay? Whoa, this sounds pretty heavy, right? Pretty intense. Lots of big words in there. I think the biggest thing there is at the end, it's about a fear of being exposed as a fraud. Now, the first thing as we get into the cautionary portion of this, the thing to be wary of, the first thing I want to share with you is, my goodness, we're calling this thing a syndrome. A syndrome. I think that's pretty intense, right? That's pretty intense. So what I hear from my realtor friends sometimes is they bring this up, and they bring it up in a way of saying, it sounds like this: you know what? I have imposter syndrome. I think I have imposter syndrome. I'm someone who has imposter syndrome. You guys know how I feel about labels. I think labels can be either empowering or disempowering, depending on what kind of label that you're using. And if you're dropping this label on you, my realtor friends, if you're saying to yourself or saying to your friends or others, you know what, I'm a person with imposter syndrome. I mean, that's like saying I'm someone with blue eyes, or I'm someone who's 6'4". It's just like you're saying it just like a matter of fact. And think about the word syndrome. I mean, syndrome is used with things like Down syndrome. I mean, Down syndrome, I mean, that's a genetic thing. All right. So in imposter syndrome, this is not a genetic thing, you guys. This is not a genetic thing. So let's not disrespect people who have Down syndrome themselves or in their family by saying imposter syndrome. I mean, come on. Like, that would imply that this is something that you're born with, like you're born with blue eyes, or that you're, again, you're going to be a certain height. All right, so just watch out for this as a label, and this is a pretty intense label because it's using the word syndrome. So why on earth would you give yourself that label and say something like, well, I'm just someone who has imposter syndrome. I have this. It just comes up for me sometimes because, I mean, really look at what's going on here. We'll go back to what Wikipedia says, a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments. That to me sounds pretty normal. That sounds pretty natural. That sounds awfully human to me for someone to be doubting themselves from time to time. I mean, don't people kind of doubt themselves from time to time? And really think about what's going on here. What this is about is you're doing things you've never done before, right? You're going after a level of production, a level of income, a level of transactions, or a level of health, a certain weight, a certain fitness, whatever it is that you're doing, you're going after something that you've never achieved before. So would it be pretty normal, natural for you to doubt that, or for you to, have some questions creep in like, gosh, can I really do this? Well, that sounds pretty normal to me. That doesn't sound like a syndrome. All right. That does not sound like a syndrome. That sounds awfully human. All right. So you guys, of course you are going to have doubt. Like, of course. Okay. And so because you're just doing something that you've never done before. All right. Of course you're going to have doubt. I mean, so think about like when you may not be able to remember, probably can't remember, like when you first started walking, okay, like you were just kind of going for it, right? You were going for it. You get up, you fall down, you get up, you fall down. Maybe your little baby brain was questioning, gosh, can I do this? Seems hard. I keep falling down, but I'm going to keep going anyway. Right? And you have all this thing going through your little baby brain. I don't think we're going to call that a syndrome in a baby, as we're watching the baby, trying and falling down, trying and falling down. That's not a syndrome. All right. So like, of course you're going to have doubt. Of course that's going to creep in. And think about anyone that you watch doing something that they've never done before. Think about watching someone really go after it, really achieve at a high level, really like attempt at a high level, like really be super courageous in elevating what they are trying to do. Isn't that inspiring? So when I'm making this podcast, what's coming up pretty soon are the Olympics, the Winter Olympics. So we're starting to see commercials on TV for the Winter Olympics. It's making me think about all those cool little stories that they'll tell about individual athletes, and they're going to tell the backstory, right? They're going to tell the backstory about how this person overcame a certain circumstance, certain physical challenge, or environment challenge, whatever it is. But here they are doing this thing, but they went for it anyway. Like, that's really cool. Like that's really inspiring. So we're not wondering if those people are a fraud. Quite the opposite. We're sitting there going, wow, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. So instead of being afraid of being exposed as a fraud, what if instead you said, you know what, what I'm doing right now, not only is it cool for me and inspiring for me, but it's also potentially inspiring for other people. Like, I get to be an example of what's possible for other people because I'm going after things that I have never ever done before. And isn't that amazing? So you can probably think about people who you've watched go out and get after it and achieve a certain thing. Maybe it's a realtor friend of yours, and you watch them in last year, hit a certain level of production or income, and you weren't wondering if they're a fraud. What you're saying to yourself is, that's pretty cool. Assuming you like them and respect them, right? And if it's someone you really dislike, or you think they're doing it in unethical ways, then you're not going to have those thoughts about them. You're going to think they're a fraud because they're not ethical. You're not going to look at someone who you like and respect, who achieved a whole new level. You're not going to wonder if they're a fraud. You're going to say, dang, that's pretty awesome. That if they can do it, I can do it too. All right. So just know that the way that people are going to react to you, they're not going to wonder if you're a fraud. They're going to say, that's pretty awesome I think I could do the same thing. You're going to end up inspiring other people. The other thing to keep in mind, if you ever start to have a fear of being exposed as a fraud, the other thing to keep in mind, you guys, is people don't think about you as much as you might think that they think about you. Do you know why? They're too busy thinking about themselves, right? We're all running around spending a whole lot of time thinking about ourselves, which limits the amount of time that we're really going to be thinking about other people. Like how much time really, like, do you think about someone else who might be a fraud? Like, do you spend your days like scanning the environment, wondering about those who might be a fraud? No, you're thinking about you, right? You got your stuff, your challenges, your goals, your day, your interruptions, your distractions, your obligations, your stuff, right? We're all walking around dealing with our own stuff. We don't have the time or energy to really be wondering about if other people are a fraud. So if we find ourselves worrying about if other people are going to think that we're a fraud, like, we need to get over that. One reason being is that people don't have time really to be thinking all about that. All right. So this is a very natural, normal human thing to start to doubt. And the only reason you're doing that is because you're doing something that you've never done before. And if you're worried about being exposed as a fraud, I mean, come on, people don't have the time to worry about that, wonder about that. And what happens is quite the opposite. They get inspired by that. The last thing I'll share with you as the remedy to this is the fact that this really comes down to, are you past based or future based? Okay, so when you think about what you want to achieve and what you want to go do over the next 12 months. So again, I'm recording this in January, so this is timely because we can talk about this calendar year. But even if you're listening to this in, who knows, August, you can still think about the next 12 months and what you want to go do and achieve. And so are you thinking about that goal from your past or from your future? And you might be saying, what the heck are you talking about, Eric? What does that mean? That sounds a little woo-woo to me. But here's the deal. If you're thinking about this in terms of your past, all that means is based on my past, can I go do this thing? All right. So is my past giving me permission to go do this thing? And what's kind of crazy about that is you are thinking about and talking about doing something that you've never done before. So is your past the best place to go to wonder, when you wonder about this thing that you want to go do? Like, is your past the best source for going off to go do something that you've never done before? And it's not. You guys, it's just not. The past is not the best place. Now, there is some value in your past for sure. I mean, past experiences that create just some wisdom for you that you can bring forward, capabilities that you developed in your past that will be useful going forward. But what there tends to be a lot of in your past is a whole lot of like limiting stories, right? A lot limiting beliefs and stories, and I can't, and I never, I tried that before and I failed, and right, all those things kind of are there hanging out in your past. So oftentimes it's just not useful to tap into our past when we think about things that we want to go do in the future. What's way better is to actually tap into our future, like tap into the person that's living out there 12 months from now and asking them for advice, like looking at them and what they were able to achieve over the last 12 months and saying things to yourself like, I wonder what my future self would have to say about this. So this particular challenge, or even this doubt that's creeping up for me right now, I wonder what the future version of me, who's living out there 12 months from now, who has achieved the exact thing that I want to achieve, what would they have to say about this little challenge, or this doubt that's creeping in, or this imposter syndrome that I might be feeling now? What would they have to say about this? And that's a cool place to go to in your head, a cool place to wonder about and to get advice from. And what your future self is going to say is, you know what? Get over it, right? Get over it, get through it. You got this. This is not a big deal. No need to make this a bigger deal than it is. You're going to find that actually this will benefit you. The fact that you've hit this roadblock, this challenge, because you're about to develop this new capability or skill, you're going to learn how to get over it. this is just one little speed bump along the way. Your future self will say something like, well, yeah, duh, of course a challenge came up because you are going after something that you've never done before. So duh, of course this came up. Like, what'd you think? This was going to be like silky smooth the whole way? And then you can listen to your future self telling you that and be like, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm about to move on. I can get through this. Okay, so you guys see how that works? Do you guys see how that goes? So if you find yourself caught up in imposter syndrome, it's because you are really relying on your past to tell you if this thing that you want to do in the future is possible. And that is not the best place to ask that question, all right? That's not the best person to ask the question of, right? You don't really want to be asking your past self, is it possible for me to go out and do this thing? You're way better off asking your future self, is it possible for me to go do this thing? And your future self is going to say, heck yes. Like it would say to me, dude, heck yeah. Oh yeah, heck yeah. Now it's not going to be easy, or it's not going to be hunky-dory and silky smooth the whole way, but heck yeah, you can do it. Heck yeah, you got this, man. So like, go do it. Just go do it. And whereas if you went to your past self and said, hey, do you think this is possible for me to do it? What's your past self going to say? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, think of all the times that we fell short. Think of all the times that we screwed up. Like, haven't you tried something like this before? Remember when it didn't go so well? I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, your past self is going to have just a way different perspective and attitude about this, and that will trigger something that you might call imposter syndrome. All right. So what I want to leave you with is a few things. Don't label yourself with something like imposter syndrome. My goodness, that implies that you were born with something. It implies that it's genetic. See that it's extremely human to have some doubts when you are going after things that you've never done before, because you've never done them before. So like, duh, of course you're going to have some doubts. If you're wrapped up in being exposed as a fraud, which is kind of intense, if you're wrapped up in that, realize, number one, people are not really investing a whole lot of time and energy into looking for those people that are frauds. You don't have a bunch of like private investigators following you around. People don't have time to do that. And then actually on the flip side, you don't trigger those people thinking you as a fraud. You end up inspiring them. They're like, dang, look at that person go. Look at that person do something that they've never done before. That's awesome. Good for them. That's inspiring me to perhaps go out and do the same thing. And then lastly, realize that if you feel something like imposter syndrome in your head, understand what that means is you're probably like over relying on your past to like give you permission about your future, to tell you if your future is possible. Don't do that, right? Tap into your future instead. That's a way better source to get advice from and inspiration from the person who's actually already done it. Okay, you guys, I hope that you like it. I hope that this was helpful to you. If you like coaching like this, if you like things like this, if you like these words of inspiration, if you want to go deeper on this, if you want to like take this to the next level and have like a format and a structure and someone side by side with you to do this, to build up your mindset so you can go get the results that you want in your real estate career, you know what you got to do? You got to go to Alpha State. So go check out alphastateclass.com, and that's where you can get signed up for our mastermind, alphastateclass.com. It's pretty amazing and cool. So go check that out. And you guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. And until then, enjoy life on the leading edge. Bye.